Hello everyone. Today in this video, I'll walk you through deploying an application on Kubernetes using Helm. We will use Vault for managing secrets, NGINX Ingress for routing, and Jenkins for CI/CD. All this will be running locally on Docker desktop, a simple setup to practice and learn Kubernetes and DevOps tools without needing any cloud provider. So let's quickly dive into the demo. For that, let me first open Docker desktop, which I have already installed, and I have enabled Kubernetes on this. So as a prerequisite, we need kubectl and Helm to be installed, which I have already done. So let me quickly check the version. Yeah, so this is the kubectl version, and we'll check Helm version too. So I'll provide the link for installing kubectl and Helm in this video description. Before starting the deployment, let me show you the architecture diagram which I created for this. So this is a very high-level diagram. So the user will be accessing these endpoints. So here the app which we are using is called Infrastore app. We have a ready-made Docker image for this. So in the Kubernetes cluster, we will be having four namespaces. Ingress NGINX for deploying NGINX Ingress controller, a Jenkins namespace for deploying Jenkins, a Vault namespace for deploying HashiCorp Vault in developer mode, and an app namespace for deploying Infrastore app. So let's start creating namespaces one by one. So before that, let me just do a kubectl get nodes to see the nodes. Yeah, so we have the Docker desktop running. Then kubectl get ns will give us the default namespaces. Now let's start creating one by one. So we will start with creating Vault first. So I'll create a namespace called Vault. Um, Now let me run the Helm repo add command to add the Vault repo here. So Helm repo add HashiCorp. So this will be our repo name, and this is the repo URL. Let me add it. Now if I do a Helm repo ls, we can see the HashiCorp repo has been added. Right. Now let's simply run the Helm install command to install HashiCorp Vault. Helm install -n Vault. So we are deploying the HashiCorp Vault in the namespace Vault, and the Helm release name will be Vault. And this is the chart being used. And we have enabled dev mode for this. So let me install right away. Yeah. So if you see here, status is deployed. Revision is the first version which we have deployed now. Now let's check the ports in the namespace Vault. Kubectl get ports -n Vault. Yeah, so we have the Vault running here. Now we have to enable Kubernetes authentication in the Vault. For that, let's get inside the container Vault 0. Sorry, Vault 0 -n Vault. Yeah. So we are actually running a command called Vault auth enable Kubernetes. So if you see successfully enable Kubernetes auth method. So that's done. Now let's configure Kubernetes auth with clusters API server. So for that, let me open the command for this. Yeah, so we will be running this specific command for configuring Kubernetes auth with the cluster API server. Let me copy this. So that is done. Now next, we have to inject the Django super user password to the Vault. So I'll let you know about those passwords later on when we come to the actual infrastructure app deployment. So for now, we have a super user password, which is secret123. For this, we are using the Vault key Vault put command. So this is also executed inside the pod. So let me just run this command. Yeah. So the secret path is secret data infrastructure app. So that's the path we gave. And yeah, so this is the time of creation. So now the things which we have to do with Vault has been completed. Now let's move on to next part. For that, let me open the diagram again. So we have deployed a Vault in the namespace Vault, and we have done the configuration for authenticating the Kubernetes API server and added also a secret called Django super user password. Now let's move on to deploy NGINX Ingress. So for that, let's create the namespace called Ingress-NGINX. So kubectl create ns ingress-nginx. Yeah. Now let's deploy Nginx Ingress controller. For that, we'll be running this command: helm install ingress-nginx. Then we have the namespace here, and here's set couple of values like replica count, which is 1 here. So we'll be having only one pod of the Ingress controller. Then we have publish service enable true. So this ensures whether the Ingress controller will know its external IP, and then we have service type as load balancer just to expose this. Yeah, so let's quickly run this one out. Okay, it says installation failed repo nginx ingress not found. Yeah, so we need to add a repo first. So let me just quickly get the repo details. Yeah, here we go. So Helm repo add. This is the repo. Helm repo add. Now if I do Helm repo ls, I can see the Ingress Nginx repo there. Now let me install it again. Yeah, so it's getting installed. Yeah, so Nginx Ingress controller has been deployed. Now let me just do kubectl get pods minus ingress-nginx. Yeah, so it's still coming up 0 by 1. Let me just get. Okay, I'll check out the logs for it. Okay, looks like it is up. Let me do pods. Yeah, so now the Nginx Ingress controller has also been deployed. Fine. Now, let me go back to the diagram again. So we have done Vault, we have done Nginx Ingress. Okay, let me also show you the service type being created. So if I do a kubectl get svc minus n ingress nginx. So you can see the service type as load balancer here. That's what we set values when we run the helm install command. Okay, so now we have completed Nginx Ingress and Vault. Now let's move on to Jenkins. For that also, let's first create the namespace, kubectl create ns Jenkins. Now we need to add the Jenkins repo. Just the repo, Helm repo add Jenkins. It's good to do a Helm repo update. Helm repo update to download the latest. Yeah. Right. So it has updated all the repositories when we run Helm repo update command. Now let's run the command to install Jenkins. So here we have set couple of parameters like host name, jenkins.local. I'll come to this part later on because I'll be editing my system's host file to use jenkins.local to localhost. Similarly, for the application which I'll be deploying, I'll be creating a host entry for that also, which will be like infrastore-app.local. Similarly, for Jenkins will be jenkins.local. So those values we have set here. Then we have the admin username and path. Persistent enabled is false. Since it is just for dev purpose or learning purpose, we are not enabling a persistent storage. Then yeah, it will be using cluster IP, and we have an enabled Ingress so that Jenkins can be accessed via NGINX Ingress, and we have also mentioned the Ingress class name, which is NGINX here. Okay, so let me quickly deploy Jenkins. Okay, so it says a warning. Persistence is disabled, you will lose data. Yeah, so when the pod is terminated, we will lose all the data which we have. Since it is a development environment or it's for learning purpose, it's okay to have persistence disabled. Yeah. So now let me quickly do a get pods on Jenkins namespace. Yeah, so Jenkins normally will take a bit time to come up. So if you see, it has two containers in this pod. So let me just give you a quick idea about that. If I describe this pod, okay, so here you will be seeing two containers. One is a Jenkins container, and another one is a config reload. So this will be basically the first container to come up where it loads the configurations for Jenkins. So I'm not going in deep about those things. Let's see if the pod is up or not. Okay, so while it's coming up, let me show you the host entry, which I have already created. Yeah, so just ignore everything. So if you see this last and second last line, it is having a local host pointing to Jenkins.local and infrastructure app DNS is added here. Okay, so let me do get pods again. Yeah, it's up and running. So one of the main thing we have to check here is the ingress. So since we have enabled ingress in the command line, if you see we have enabled ingress, so an ingress should also be created. So let me do a get ingress minus n Jenkins. Yeah, so we have the ingress Jenkins here with the class NGINX. This is the host which we gave, and it's resolving to localhost. So I'll describe this Jenkins ingress, or I will take a YAML output of this. Yeah, so here you can see more details how this works. So the host is jenkins.local and the backend service is Jenkins, which is listening on port 8080. To check that, I can do a get svc minus n Jenkins. You can see the backend service here. The name is Jenkins. Okay, now let's go to the browser and try this. Copy this. Okay. Right, so we have a Jenkins up and running. So it's asking for username and password, which we already gave when we deployed. The admin username is admin. Let me copy this. Right. So we have Jenkins up and running. We need to configure pipelines. We need to configure Jenkins to talk to Vault and all. But before that, let's have a quick look into the plugins. So in plugins here, install plugins we can see here. These are the default plugins being installed. For us to configure Vault, we need HashiCorp plugin. HashiCorp Vault. Okay, so this should be fine for us. Then, okay, I'll also install pipeline view plugin. Yeah, pipeline stage view, so that when we run the Jenkins pipeline, we can see the pipeline as stages. So for now, let me just install these two. Okay, let Jenkins get restarted when it's completed. We need to create one service account for Jenkins so that that service account can be used for deploying services or applications in Kubernetes. So for that, we'll be creating a service account named Jenkins SA in the namespace Jenkins. And we'll be also creating a cluster role binding with cluster role as cluster admin. And we'll assign that role to service account Jenkins. So that's done, right? So let's go back and check Jenkins. Okay. Okay. Let's verify the plugins again. If we go to plugins, install plugins, we will be having HashiCorp and pipeline stage view plugin. Yeah, so we have both the plugins installed. Now let's go to manage Jenkins configure system. So here we can add Vault. So since we have the Vault plugin added, we have an option to add the Vault details. So let's go to cluster. We'll check for SVC in Vault namespace. Okay, so this is our service. To add this in our Jenkins, should be HTTP. Vault is the service name. Then we have namespace. That's again Vault dot svc dot cluster dot local. Okay, then let's go to the port. It is 8200. Yep. So local 8200. Since Jenkins and HashiCorp Vault is in the same cluster, they can communicate to each other using their service URL and the port. Yeah. Now let's add the credentials. To add it, we can either add the add option from here, or else we can go to manage Jenkins and credentials here. So let me add it directly from this page, Jenkins. Since we have installed the Vault plugin, there should be some more credentials type here. So we will be using Vault token credential here. Now, okay, so here we have to provide the token. To get the token, we can go to Kubernetes namespace where Vault has been deployed. Yeah. We'll get the logs of Vault. And here at the bottom, you will be able to see root token. So that is root. Now let me go back to Jenkins. We'll add root token here. Then namespace here, we can leave it as empty. ID, I'll create an ID called Vault token. So this ID will be referenced in the Jenkins pipeline whenever we need to access the Vault token. Fine. Let me give a description also. Vault token for accessing secrets. Fine. Let me save it. Now, yeah, we have the credentials populated here. Let me select it and save. So that's done. That's all for now. In the part 2 of this video tutorial, we will be dealing with Helm chart creation from scratch, deployment using Helm, testing using Postman. So we will be testing out a couple of API endpoints after the application deployment. Then we will be creating a Jenkins pipeline using declarative way, and then deploy the application using Jenkins and then testing it out. So thank you for now. See you in the next one.